Hi, it's time for another verb of the day. Today's verb is cheer. Let's look at a few definitions. The first definition is to shout for joy or in praise or for encouragement. The second meaning for cheer is to give comfort or support to. Cheer is a regular verb. To make the progressive form, all we need to do is add ing to make cheering. The past tense and participle forms are made by adding ed to the end of the word. Because this verb ends with a voiced R sound, the ed is going to make a D sound. Cheered, cheered. Let's look at some phrasal verbs next. The first phrasal verb I have is cheer for. It means to support someone or a team with cheers, shouting, other vocal noise. Okay. Here it is in a sentence. I cheer for the St. Louis Cardinals. In this sentence, St. Louis Cardinals is a professional baseball team, and in this particular example, I would say that I make vocal noise while watching and supporting that team. Cheer on is another phrasal verb, and it means to encourage someone or a team. Here it is in a sentence. Thousands of fans cheered on the team last year. Another phrasal verb you might hear is cheer up, and its meaning is to cause someone to feel happier. Here it is in a question. What would cheer you up? Right? What would make you feel happier is what that question is asking. Let's look at using cheer in some different verb tenses. Today we'll look at the past progressive, present perfect, and present perfect progressive. Let's start with past progressive. In this verb tense, we are describing an action that was in progress, and generally, in the sentence or in the context of conversation, there's going to be an interrupting activity or interrupting action. That interrupting action is generally in the simple past tense. Okay? To make past progressive, we're going to use the past tense form of be, was, or were, and then we'll combine that with the progressive form of the verb. Let's look at a sentence. I was cheering in the stands when it started raining. So in that sentence, we have this ongoing activity of cheering, and it gets interrupted as it starts to rain. Okay. If we want to make a negative past progressive sentence, what we need to do is insert not after was or were. And it's very common with native speakers for them to use contractions such as wasn't or weren't. Here's an example. The fans weren't cheering when the game ended. Okay? So here we have an action that was not continuing when we have that interrupting activity. The game ends. Okay? If we want to make a question in past progressive, we're going to change the order and begin with was or were, then we'll have our subject, and then the progressive form. Here's an example. Was he cheering for you? Okay. Next, let's look at present perfect. We tend to use this verb tense when there's an action that has started in the past and it continues into the present, or we might have an action that occurred at some indefinite time in the past. We don't know when in the past, and that might not matter. To make present perfect, we need to use have or has, depending on the subject, and then the participle form, which is the past tense form for this regular verb. Okay. For the first example, I actually heard this sentence today as I was reading some news and I thought it would be a great example. It references our president. Trump has cheered on governors who are relaxing restrictions. So this would go back to our original meaning with cheer. It is using that phrasal verb of cheering on, so offering encouragement, support to the governors who are reducing the restrictions that are in place for citizens of the United States. To make the negative form in present perfect, what we're going to do is insert not after have or has. We haven't cheered like that in years. And if we want to make a question in present perfect, again, we're going to change the order, move our helping verb to the front, have or has, then our subject, and then the participle form. Has the news cheered you up? Okay. Finally, today, let's look at the present perfect progressive. If you've been in one of my classes before, you know I like to remember 3 P's, 3 parts for this verb tense. So we're going to use have or has, then we'll use been, and then we'll use the progressive or ing form of the verb to make this tense. And in this tense, we could be describing, again, something that started in the past and is continuing into the present now. Let's look at an affirmative sentence. Volunteers have been cheering up patients at the Children's Hospital for years. This is an activity started in the past, continues into the present. If we want to make negative present perfect progressive, we're going to add not after the has or have. He hasn't been cheering on any teams since all the games have been canceled. And if we want to make a yes or no question, we're going to start with have or has, then we'll have our subject, and then been and the ing form of the verb. Have they been cheering for healthcare workers every evening at 7 o'clock? Finally, today, let's look at some words that are related to our verb cheer. And the first word we're going to look at is just the noun form of this word. So same spelling, same pronunciation, cheer. And it can have a couple different meanings. The first meaning could be a shout of encouragement, praise, or joy. Here's an example of that. The athletes heard the crowd's cheers. And I might say here that it's probably most common to hear this noun form in the plural, right? Meaning many people all making noise at the same time. Another meaning for cheer, though, could be optimism or confidence, or another related word, cheerfulness. Okay? Here it is in a sentence. Kind acts are bringing cheer to those affected by the pandemic. Another word you might hear is cheerleader. This is a noun, and again has 2 main meanings. One would be a member of a team, or sometimes you'll hear the word squad, that performs organized cheering in support of a team. So you might see cheer teams, cheer squads in middle schools, high schools, and colleges. It can be male or female. And I think it's expanded so that they support more teams. So a long time ago, you might have only seen cheerleaders at football, American football, and basketball games, but now you tend to see them at other events as well. Here is that word with that particular meaning in a sentence. There are 15 cheerleaders on the squad. Another meaning for cheerleader, though, is just any enthusiastic supporter of someone or something. Okay? So used in a sentence, he's my biggest cheerleader. just means he is the most enthusiastic supporter. The final word we're going to look at today is cheerful. This is an adjective. It could mean noticeably happy and optimistic. Here it is in a sentence. She's always very cheerful. So if I was describing this person, someone who appears very happy, very positive, has a positive outlook on what the day holds. But cheerful could also mean something that is causing happiness. Here is an example of that. You painted the room such a cheerful color. So in this example, we don't have a specific color, but the person making this statement would find that particular color to cause them to be happy. Thanks so much for watching today's video. Have a great day.